All right. So, welcome everyone to my newly branded, it's to the Cindy Show. It's our Power Hour. It's a bi-weekly learning series designed for an exclusive group of customers like yourselves. Each 1 hour Zoom session is hosted live by myself. I'm Cindy Civan. I'm SysAid's Director of Customer Success, and I'm here to bring you expert tips and best practices and support you with a live Q&A to help you level up your SysAid experience. So a little bit about me, which I say every week, and for those of you who keep returning, you might be saying, oh, not again, but yes, it's me. It's 8 years, almost 8.5 years now at SysAid. Started off in professional services for the first 4 years, and now I'm in customer success. I have an incredible team, and I always have very exciting guest speakers, which I will announce very soon. And just something else about me, which I said to you guys, I'm going to say every week, one thing about me, I love chocolate. That is the way to my heart, is through chocolate. So just a little bit about me. Okay, so I would love to introduce our guest speaker today, Ionut Novac. He is SysAid's very experienced customer care senior manager. And I've invited Ionut today because he has extensive experience working with customers, especially when it comes to exploring asset management. As our subject matter expert, he brings a lot of deep knowledge and hands-on approach. And I'm confident with our demo, you'll both be leaving very happy, and I'm sure it'll be very impactful. So, Ionut, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure thing. Thank you, Cindy. First of all, I would like to start by saying that, of course, I look as if I like chocolates, just like Cindy, but I don't in reality because of my size. That's what I meant. So first of all, pleasure to meet you all. Pleasure to have you here with us for this live demo. My name is Novac Ionut. I work here at SysAid for the past more than 9 years. I got to be a customer care senior manager, but I started from very low hierarchically. So obviously, I didn't cut corners or stuff like this. So I know how it is to work with customers. I've been serving customers for the past 9 years in different manners as part of different roles which I served here at SysAid. I do come from a pretty technical background. My previous jobs, not a lot of these. I'm not that old, though I look like one, like a sort of older person. But my past jobs implied pretty technical roles, such as infrastructure engineer roles, second-tier infrastructure engineer role for a large company, which is global. I'm not going to disclose the name for the time being, as well as serving roles such as sales manager for a different company in the past. So I did combine in the past experiences, both technical aspects as well as customer facing skills. So without further ado, I guess we can start with the demo. Would you like to
Thank
start,
you.
Cindy?
Thanks, Ionut. Thank you for the introduction. Okay, so just a few things. Today we'll be exploring SysAid's asset management tool. We'll walk you through discovering, tracking, and managing your IT assets. By the end of the demo, you'll see you're going to have a clear understanding of the benefits of managing your assets within SysAid. We'll also cover the different deployment methods. We're going to demonstrate how asset management integrates with our AI capabilities and will provide a comprehensive overview of some of the key features. Just a little bit of housekeeping. Please feel free to ask questions in the chat at any time. My team will assist in answering them, and I'll also try to get to them during our session. And if at any time you'd like to set up a meeting with one of our team members, please book a meeting by selecting the link in the chat. Ella, thank you for coming back from your vacation, because I made lots of mistakes last time, and I need you to please post the polls. And if you could please share in the link to book a meeting with any of our account managers. And like I said, I'll be adding a few polls throughout the session, which of course, as always, I appreciate your feedback. Always a special thank you to my team, our chat moderators, which is our team, and for their support during today's session. And of course, for all of you for taking the time in your day to be here. I really, really appreciate it. Okay, so before we begin, Ella, again, thank you. Could you please launch our first poll? And while Ella is launching our first poll, the question is, how are you currently managing your IT assets? And that's the question. If you could all please complete it, that would be amazing. It gives us a lot of insights as well. And at least I'm reading the correct poll as opposed to what I did last time. So lots of responses. Okay, well, this is interesting. And we'll end the poll, and let's share the results when we end the poll, please, Ella. And I'd like to show the results. Can you share, Ella, or do you need me to?
I am sharing. I don't know why you don't see it.
Okay. Does everyone? I hope everyone sees. Okay. If not, I'll read it out. But what's really interesting is that 26% of you are using a manual spreadsheet. Okay. 13 a third-party asset management tool. 45% are using SysAid Asset Management. And 12% you're not tracking assets at all. Okay, very interesting, especially the part of manual spreadsheets and you're not tracking assets at all. So thank you so much for sharing, Ella. Okay, all right, so let's begin. Let me just, okay, so as many of you already know, these sessions are designed to be very practical and hands-on, with a strong focus on live demos rather than lengthy presentations. However, with that said, I do just want to mention one or two things, okay? It's important to highlight the core benefits of SysAid Asset Management. So firstly, as you all know me by now as well, I don't read the whole slide verbatim, but our solution offers complete visibility and control over your assets through a single agent, which is going to enable you to with a faster resolution time, and it'll help you reduce incident volume as well. So by creating asset data directly in the service desk, it supports smarter decision-making, improves compliance through centralized tracking, and it's also going to help reduce the IT spend by identifying especially on underutilized resources, which you won't always know, especially if you're using a CSV file, and of course, if you're not even tracking. It's going to help you streamline your supplier and contract management to further optimize your IT operations. Okay, so this slide highlights some of the features of SysAid's asset management module. It is designed to save time, reduce costs. Ionut and I will walk you through this in a demo. But the highlights here are pretty simple. You're going to have full visibility to inventory management. You can use monitoring, and this will allow you to have real-time alerts. You've also got a remote control functionality, which is built in the SysAid Asset Management tool. There's also available add-ons as well, like TeamViewer. Ionut will discuss that. We also have the CMDB integration, which can also help track your assets and help you understand a full topography of your network, and things like asset warranty, synchronization, and so forth. Okay. All right. So this slide outlines 3 key methods for deploying SysAid agents to enhance asset management. You can see we've got a WMI scan, SNMP scan, and I wasn't pronouncing that very well earlier, and the agent deployment plan. So let's jump right into the demo. And let's talk about this in a little bit more detail. So I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to let you share.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Cindy.
Sure.
Let's see which one of my screens I'm going to share. Is this one? Okay, so Cindy mentioned about 3 key deployment methods. I will not call them deployment methods because 2 of them, WMI scan and SNMP scan, refers to exactly that. Scanning for WMI assets, Windows Media Instrumentation. Obviously, those are assets Windows-based OS, Windows OS based. That will do a WMI scan to do like a parallel between this method of scanning and the deployment itself of the SysAid agent, which comes installed onto your endpoints, is the fact that this WMI scan is only going to take effect or reflect the data of your assets for the moment in which the scan took place. Okay, granted, you can schedule it, but it's always more beneficial to actually perform those deployments of the agents in order not to stress about like having to rescan or schedule your scans or change the IP range and so on and so forth. So all of these methods require, first of all, what we need, obviously, in order to get to those endpoints, we need credentials, right? And this is, you can use either the search. This is a Spaces UI, goes the same in Classic. I'm not sure if everybody's utilizing fully our Spaces UI, but let's go with this. Everything starts with credentials, right? And the moment in which you want to connect to an asset or to connect to a certain node or endpoint, you need credentials, okay? So we'll start with like fresh things. This is the form for the credentials. You can give them an explicit name. Username is based on the entity or the network, like an admin, an account, which is, if we're talking about Windows assets, like Windows OS assets. An administrator, I would recommend obviously a service account that has the option to do, which is part of the administrators group on the machines to which you're trying to do the WMA scan in this discussion, or agent deployment in case once we get to that part. Set a name because usually segments of the networking have different type of, you might even handle different type of network infrastructures as well as the fact that you might handle several domains at the same time. You'll immediately see after inserting the username and the password, you have these checkboxes. Valid for Windows refers to what we discussed, WMI, as well as agent deployment plan, because we run a sequence checking the credentials. Valid for LDAP is for our LDAP integration. SSH is for like Mac, Linux OS. SNMP is exclusively for SNMP scanning, which, doing like a parallel, but we'll get to that as well, is basically SNMP devices are switches, routers, printers, you name it, things that do not have like OS-based Windows, Linux, so on and so forth, that you might obviously want to have brought up into the system so that you can have those aspects documented, keep an eye, track them, see if anything changed in terms of like printed toner, number of like the paper, which is going low for a certain printer and so on and so forth. Obviously, for SNMP scan, you need to, there are a few methods, right? For SNMP, we'll go into the SNMP scan form a little bit later and we can detail it. For SNMP v3, obviously your network engineers would know if this is enabled for your endpoints. It requires to set up the protocol, the encryption, and the key for the encryption itself. Let's go for WMI scan, okay? In the moment in which you're creating a WMI scan, obviously, there are a few pointers that you want to take into account. Since you might have the network separated in various subnets and so on and so forth, you will need to, in advance, have an RDS or several RDSs deployed. The recommendation in terms of number of assets, especially like agents which have assets which have an agent deployed to them, per RDS is to not go above like 2,000 assets per RDS, okay? For the simple,
I'm so sorry.
yes.
I'm going to interrupt you. I hope you don't mind. And
Please.
it might not be the first time.
Okay,
Can I ask you, because this is often a question that I would get from a lot of customers,
please.
like especially when I was in professional services, that do ask, what is an RDS? Why do we need an RDS? Could you just touch base on a little bit of that, if you don't mind?
Of course, not a problem. The RDS, especially for cloud-based environments, right? Customers which are currently hosted in our cloud. Obviously, nobody is opening. I'm just using simple words. Nobody is going to be wild enough to open his network to the World Wide Web, right? And there are obviously requirements in terms of like assets to be able to report back to your cloud. Okay. In order to bypass this limitation, we have an application which is called Remote Discovery Service that serves the purpose of proxying basically the internal network in the moment in which we're establishing the communication between your internal or closed network and our cloud or your SysAid server, which can be on a different network segment than your assets are. At that certain point in time, you can have several RDSs deployed. They act like sort of a proxy, right? In order not to open your network to reach to the destination, which can be a web-based application, such a web-based endpoint, better said, such as our customers which are utilizing the cloud. In the moment in which, obviously, I'm not going to show you how to deploy an RDS. We do have documentation for this in terms of like how to install it. It's sort of a next finished job, I'll be honest with you. In the moment in which you are deploying the RDS, you will see it documented here in this section called Network Discovery RDS, okay? And you will see entries such as the service name that you gave to that specific endpoint. You'll also see the IP address of the device in question, okay? And you also see the URL, the version that you have deployed. This is a demo environment. Obviously, those endpoints, this refreshes basically every day, okay? So the endpoints are like demo data. And something you don't want to see is the last update time obviously being all in red as this one, and with a date that is more in the past than just like 1 or 2 minutes, okay? Because the RDS has a keep alive mechanism in order to reach to the cloud. There's a lot of things which can be done from this form as well, such as removing, in case you have like an RDS that you decommissioned, removing it from the list. It will, once removed, it's no longer going to appear in the drop downs for WMI scan, SNMP scan, and agent deployment plan. Okay, so can no longer be utilized. You can also upgrade it manually, but I would always recommend you guys to have this checkbox ticked here in the RDS page. Upgrade RDS nodes automatically, especially again for cloud customers, for which we do releases very often, right? With bug fixes, features, new features being implemented, and so on and so forth. And this would automatically upgrade the RDS version once the new version becomes available. You can also get the logs directly in the UI, as long as the RDS obviously is responsive and it can reach to the destination, which is the SysAid server, or assigning that to discovery credentials, because by default we have them all checked, like all of the credentials which I showed previously that you can create as part of the list will be attempt to be used in case you don't specify them exclusively. And you can also set up the log level manually from this view so that you won't have to modify the configuration of the RDS from the configuration files, and click on set once you serve that action. Does that answer your question, Cindy, or would you like me to detail a bit more on it?
No, that's absolutely perfect. And then, I know you're going on to the WMI scan. Ravi had asked a question.
Please.
Is it necessary to have a WMI scan configured if we already have the
Oh,
SysAid
no.
agent deployed to our Windows-based systems?
No. Like, perfect. Thank you for the question, first of all, Ravi. So WMI scan comes as a substitute, let's say, for agents being deployed to assets. In general, it does the same thing. It checks the same registry keys, the same information for the asset as the agent itself. The difference between the two is the fact that the SysAid agent itself is periodically doing the checks from the endpoint directly. Now, probably somebody will ask a question, why would I prefer why do we even have the option for WMI scan if you have the SysAid agent? And that would be a great question as well. WMI scan is for less restrictive type of asset monitoring. The agent itself, it's an application, not a very resources consuming application, but an application nevertheless, which also has more specific requirements, right? In terms of being kept up to date, being upgraded all the time, and being basically maintained, right? Because it's an on-premise application that has to be maintained. I would always encourage people, obviously, to utilize the agent itself, having it deployed to assets, instead of using the WMI scan. But I understand the situations in which our customers can decide to opt for the WMI scans, which you will see later on that we can also schedule at periodical basis, right? To run daily, to run every few days, every week, so on and so forth. As a substitute, I can completely understand those roadblocks as well. But to answer on point to the question, obviously, if you already have the agents deployed on your Windows-based devices, then definitely you do not require WMI scan.
Thanks, Ionut.
No problem. So when creating a WMI scan, there's a few, as you can see from the form, there's a few things that you need to set up. Obviously, the name. Try to make it as specific as possible because you might have like different subnets, all of them with different network principles and specifications, and most of them should be utilizing a different RDS in case you haven't sort of punched a hole through the firewall, at least for the RDS to communicate with, to receive communication from those endpoints. The RDS, it's also important. Obviously, as I mentioned, it's based on the networking principles. We usually don't just deploy RDSs because we want to have a bigger number of RDSs. It's more like to be able to explore the network itself. Two scanning options, domain, IP range. I personally recommend IP range, not because of any sort of limitations, but it's far more specific. If you use an IP range, if you use domain, let's start with that. You're going to utilize the sniffer of the RDS, like the RDS has a network discovery.exe, which takes, sorry for that, as you can probably tell, I'm a bit under the weather, but nevertheless, the network discovery.exe component of the RDS, in the moment in which the RDS is deployed, takes ownership on the network discovery component of the device where the RDS is deployed. And there is a sniffer like which has a warm-up phase in order to view which are the assets that the RDS can see in that certain point in time. I recommend an IP range because of the fact that this is basically bypassing DNS. So you're going to go, if you select an IP range instead of domain, it's going to go one IP at a time. And you can simply just add the entire range, right? The first value from the range and the last value from the range, in case you don't know specifically, or if you have like IPs which are dynamically reallocated, right? Obviously, the ones which will be in a lease process, like released, if you have like dynamic IP addresses allocation, will be skipped during the process. But I will personally recommend IP range because of the reasons that I mentioned before. Here, you also have the drop down for the credentials, and you can select them. That's why I usually mention for the names of the credentials to be specific, because you might have different domains, you might have different networking principles, and as a result, different permissions that are required in order to deploy the agents or to do the scans themselves. You also have the option to exclude hosts or IPs, again, from the same principle, because sometimes the scavenger records in the DNS can take some time to release. I don't recommend specifically using hosts, but IPs instead, okay? And this is like usually is being utilized for Gold VIP or like for VIP customers, people which are pretty high ranked in the company. You don't want to like pick up the asset information of those devices, or maybe like a disaster recovery domain controller, which nobody should see. You don't want that to be included in your environment. The tick box for schedule, obviously, it's for specifying the reoccurrence to mark it as schedule. It's not like a one-time operation, but after that, once you check the box here, you will have the option to set a next run date, and the reoccurrence, like every 1 day, week, month, and specify different cadence for this. Quick means that it's going to utilize the sniffer instead of going through each and every one of IPs from the IP range. If it's a first-time scan, I do not recommend using the quick option. Granted, it's going to take a larger period of time for the scanning to finish, but you will have all of the targeted IPs being picked up. Once you're comfortable with that, you can simply hit apply, and you can also run it now, skipping the scheduled time.
Sorry
Please.
to interrupt you.
Sure.
With regards to the scheduling, how often should one schedule? I mean, I know you just got it on every day, but what happens if someone's not on the network? Like how does it pick up the device? Can you share?
Specifically for, thank you, sure thing. So specifically for WMI scan and SNMP scans, I would say because of the fact that, first of all, you need to schedule it at a period of the day when you have, I know it's counterintuitive, but you will have most of the people connected, exception for servers, right? Because servers should be, production servers should be up and running all the time. And as a result, obviously, you will want those scans to be taking part at different periods of the day. This goes like this specification is for WMI scan and SNMP scan. Agent deployment plan should be, and reoccurrency depends on the needs if you know that, for example, you just implemented a new subnet, right? And you're starting to assign computers to that specific subnet, and you do not know exactly when the process is going to finish, like having the devices ready associated to users' designated IP addresses. If it's the case, then obviously you can run it every day for like I would say for like a few weeks, and then modify the cadency to like once every week. This goes without saying, maybe just I'm actually emphasizing on that. This refers to the scan of the endpoints, does not stand for the actual updates that you are doing. Basically, you're asking for the WMI scan to be reissued on the devices and so on and so forth. We'll get to that part as well. This one is going to be slower. After that, I'll go a bit more rapidly because I know we have only another half an hour. But if there are any questions at any point, let me know. Let me know, and I will try to pay attention to the chat as well. So SNMP scan, as I mentioned before, it makes reference to devices which are not OS based, so to say. In itself, it's like it's a protocol, right? So those are network devices such as printers, routers, switches, you name it, that will have their own information, mostly specified in OIDs, right? All of them contain certain certain values that are being specified most of the times in the BIOS of the device, right? Not being an OS-based machine. And you might want to obviously pick up this type of information and collect them within your SysAid to monitor this type of devices as well. The same speech as before, I always, again, recommend checking first what sort of SNMP you have enabled for your endpoints. If you have several that are being used, there's no problem. You can just set up another scan, right? Another SNMP scan policy. For V1, as you probably know, the username is public and the password is empty. So have that into account when you're creating the credentials in the credentials section. For V2C and especially V3, you will need the encryption key, the community string, and so on and so forth. And those can only be obtained via your network admin, which inserted that certain layer of security. The rest of it goes the same, is the same thing. I will go to updating asset data. It's actually important. I mentioned the reoccurrency for those type of things. You want to create policies that are explicit. You can filter on how often your assets will require for an update, will inquire for an update. But before doing that, let's just talk about the agent deployment plan. There are generally, we spoke about scans so far, WMI scan, SNMP scan, which are not necessarily an application that's installed on the device, which is periodically scanning for changes on the device in question. For deploying our agent, however, like as I mentioned, we have like a client-side application, which is the SysAid agent. That's responsible to do this type of operations, such as collecting registry key values, correcting bias modifications, name of the device. You will see, we'll show you an asset form in case you haven't used it at all so far. Obviously, we will just demo it. But there are generally three methods of having the agent deployed. One of them is a manual method. I'll just go, let's see, downloads. This is a very important part of our sort of network discovery component. So we have the option to install manually via the MSI package, which is a next finished job. In the process of installing manually an agent, you will only need these three pieces of information, which all of you will find in your downloads section of SysAid, both on-premise as well as on cloud. And additionally, during the installation itself, you can specify the RDS name, and that piece of information can be taken from the RDS section of the environment and RDS URL. Okay, so it's literally an next finished job. Download the MSI and run it as a normal executable. You will have a prompt that will tell you what information to add. This free information, free layers of information have to be added there. And in addition to that, if you have RDSs, obviously, which I recommend everybody to have, because network principles now in the era of security, obviously, are important, and we're not just opening access to all certain outside endpoints. The RDS information can be taken from the RDS section of your environment, which is this one, same network discovery RDS that I showed earlier. The second method, that's just one of them, right? To install manually, everybody knows, nobody prefers, let's just be honest. A second method would be via the agent deployment plan itself. Mostly recommended, it's actually recommended for every customer that can meet requirements, because obviously all products have requirements. There are certain UDP ports which need to be opened, certain services that need to be kept running, obviously. And you have, I was saying that this section is quite important because of the fact that it contains all of the guides for how to make sure that your before deployment requirements are met. This is within the SysAid Agent Deployment Guide right here. And we're going to, this has like an embedded deployment plan within the application itself, which does scheduled scans and picks up like endpoints which are online, right? Those assets need to be online, live on the network, and executes the installation of the agent in a scripted manner, like a silent way. The user is not going to see the, it's not going to see the deployment itself. Okay, the third, this one has just about the same fields as before. We already talked about them in general, right? Credentials, the command type, because you can also uninstall agents in case of need. The agent settings, which you can set up from the environment as well. Some people might want to have a different shortcut handler, for example. Some people might have to have a different name for the shortcut that's deployed on the desktop, and so on and so forth. Start IP, and the other fields are just about the same as in the scanning methods. But this one actually installs the application on the endpoint itself, and it's collecting periodical information and sends them as an inventory.xml. And the server itself updates the asset entry within SysAid. The third method is the MSI deployment. Now we're running a bit short on time, so I was actually I prepared like a small demo for the WMI for the MSI deployment itself, but we'll skip it. The value, there was a lot of value which the agent brings, apart from providing software, hardware information, you name it, network. We'll see it in the asset form itself. You also have like the shortcut handler, which allows you to submit tickets directly from SSP, right? With video recordings, with stuff like videos, right? So for example, if I'm opening it, I took it from a demo agent, which showed all my free screens at that certain point in time. I just did it right before this demo from the agent that I have installed here. So it actually brings a lot of value. It's everything is going to be recorded in the SR that's submitted with your IT support team. The users can easily be trained to those regards. And now, what else do we have? Do I have anything, Cindy, or
Ionut,
for now?
I think let's start wrapping up this part, and I'm probably
Yes.
going to, because I'm going to need you again a little bit later. So, thank you so much for all this information you've provided.
Yep.
It's super helpful. Just to let you all know, we're here to assist you. If you've got any questions, we have a customer care team, and we're obviously here to help you. So keep posting your questions, and Ionut, really thank you again for such an in-depth look at our deployment.
My pleasure. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to start sharing my screen, and I just wanted to, which I hope you can see, I just wanted to show the people that are still using Classic, which could very, very well be, where you would find what Ionut was actually talking about. So he went into the RDS. He went into credentials, he went into the WMI scan, the SNMP scan, and then the agent deployment scan and so forth. And in the downloads, this is the section that Ionut was actually talking about as to what you're going to need when you want to start downloading the agents. Linus, if you don't have the screen, just check your permissions. Maybe you're not a full sysadmin, but you should, as a full SysAid admin, you should have the screen and you should be seeing all of the relevant modules over here. Okay, so I'm going to go into spaces, and I want to give you a little bit of a touch of our AI, and I'm going to show you what good looks like in our eyes once your asset management is actually deployed properly. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to go to one of my tickets, which is I'm just randomly choosing a ticket, number 206 over here. And as the ticket opens, you can see there's a few errors on this ticket. And this, what I'm going to show you is going to be a great opportunity to see how asset management and service management tied together works really, really well. So one of the first things I can see over here while I'm looking at the journey, one of the first things I can see is some errors. So I'm going to actually use the chatbot. So firstly, we've got suggested questions and so forth. This is fairly new. However, what I'm going to do is instead of following one of these prompts, I'm just going to type a message to show me the asset details. Okay, so you're going to see the asset details are going to start coming up here. You can see all about the hardware operating system and so forth. And but maybe I also want to know, is this a Windows or a Mac? So I'm going to type, is this Windows? Or I mean, it does say Windows 10 operating system on there, but it's all Mac. But I'm just going to pretend I didn't actually see that. And you can type any questions, and you're going to see I get a quick answer. And then I can also ask, is this for a laptop or desktop? Okay, and as you can see, it's going to give me a very, very quick answer. So something about this, when you combine asset management and AI, you're going to have a very efficient and interactive way when you're actually asking the bot. And the bot within the ticket understands the context of the ticket. So right now, the answers that it's giving me on the screen is all details about this computer that's linked to this ticket, which is called Demo 1 PM, okay? And you can see all of the data, when it was last accessed by, more of the hardware, when it was any additional information, and when it was last scanned, and so forth. Okay, so another thing I wanted to share is in this section, which you can still do, you can click on more details. And you can go into the service desk, and we're going to go over that Ionut and I in a few minutes. So you can go into these details as well. But honestly, it's a lot quicker. You can just ask the bot and it's going to give you an answer. Okay, so I can also ask the bot things like what software is installed. There's so many questions you can actually ask. But really what I have here is actually a helper within my ticket, which is connected to the asset management, where I can ask my questions and anything else pertaining to this specific ticket. Okay, so I want to talk to you about a scenario. Perhaps you just want to go ahead and let's just say, for example, just generally, you might want to, and it might not be related to this specific ticket, but you might want to ask a specific question like missing critical information, for example, in order to manage assets. So over here with one of my pre-built agents, and I just type in asset. This is, like I said, it's pre-built. I can just click on here, find assets with missing and critical information. And literally at the touch of a button, you're going to start seeing the information. So why is it important to know this? So you need to know critical information, for example, like missing description or the missing location or missing the owner. Because if you don't have this information on the asset, you can't really have a proper asset management without obviously knowing this information. So like I said, you've got a pre-built agent that's defined to search for them. And you can see it checked about five different assets with their missing information. So again, I have a helper who's helping me identify what's missing in my asset management system in order for it to streamline processes and to become more efficient. So now I guess it's because of SysAid's tight asset management with AI, this is exactly what we want to see and what makes our AI so powerful when it's actually also working with our asset management, okay, because of the automation. So I want to show you something, and I'm going to just from over here, I'm going to the assets, into the asset list. And I'm going to type in here switch. And the reason why I'm typing switch is I want to show you that you can see the source over here, which is Landsweeper. Now, I did see a few people who had made comments in the chat while Ionut was talking that some of them are looking into a Landsweeper integration. So for those of you who don't know, we do have a Landsweeper integration, and we've partnered with Landsweeper directly. And through Landsweeper, just while I click on it, you can see a lot more. If you look at all the additional data, you can see, for example, the last scan attempt, what specific domain, the first scan attempt. You can see the warranty information. So there's a lot more that you can see with Landsweeper, and it's really easy. And if anyone wants to see the recording, we have actually had a Cindy show about Landsweeper about 2 or 3 months ago. So if anyone wants the recording, please just write that in the chat now that we can share the recording with you. And let me also show you something as well. If I type in, for example, firewall into my asset list, you can also see that the information over here, if we go to the CMDB, and if I select all right, you can actually have a look and see the asset that's connected to the switch and the firewall, and you will see the topography of the network. And I also saw someone who actually mentioned as well that they want to use their CMDB as well. I know you had asked a question. I don't know if it was Aaron. We'll get to it, but this is really super interesting when you actually can see the topography of your network and how it's all connected. Okay, so I kind of went through the demo quite quickly because there's still a little bit more that I want to follow, and I can see all of the Landsweeper requests, which is amazing, and we'll share it with you. So Ella, back to you. Could we launch our second poll? The question is, when it comes to AI in IT asset management, what excites you the most? And you're going to see a few options there, and I'm just going to let you read them. Okay, so I can see so far. Firstly, thank you for taking part of the poll. And I can see that so far it looks almost 60% we're automating routine tasks like inventory updates, license tracking is the highest. And the second highest looks like it's smarter reporting and insights for decision making. Okay. Amazing. Thank you for taking part in the poll. And Ella, if you can end it, that would be amazing. Okay, there's another poll to follow in about 1 minute. No, maybe 5 minutes. Okay, so Ionut, I'm going to bring you back on. We're going to talk about the asset list. Because in the asset list, this is where you're going to find all of your lists of assets. And I'm just going to go into one of the assets, and let's just pick this random workstation. And Ionut, would you like to give a brief description about, we're not going to go through every single one of these tabs. We're just going to pick about 4 or 5. Would you like to talk about the maintenance section and why this is so important?
I'm glad you asked, of course. Would you like me to share? Or you want to go
keep
from?
sharing. Yeah, I can keep sharing. You can turn your camera on if you want.
Okay, of course, I'll do that. So
Only if you
actually, we
want.
got a great question in the Q&A, which is sort of related to this maintenance tab. Obviously, within the asset itself, you'll find all sorts of information that the agent was able to pick up. In this case, it's Land Sweeper. Obviously, it's very accurate, but the agent does it as well, right? In a very accurate way. You see here the warranty expiration being specified. We got a question in the Q&A, which I actually answered, but it's better to speak about it because it's more specific when we actually bring screens in front. If the warranty, or in general, warranty expiration should be specified or imported based on 2 main ways. Either imported from a CSV file, you can update existing assets or set it manually. Those would be options as well, or from the BIOS, because some manufacturers actually insert it within the BIOS of the device if it's not OEM, like built out of different parts. Okay, so this section for maintenance, you can use it exactly for that. Like if you want to monitor specific things like the purchase date, like the warranty expiration date, aspects that are important for you, you want to be notified, let's say, in advance before an asset finishes warranty, you have the reminders, right? But beforehand, we need to create a reminder notification, right? The reminder, let's go first in the reminder notification. Actually, that's a great example because it already has the warranty expiration set, and that's great. The question was how to notify via email. Well, you can do both, insert a service record in the system as well as notifying via email. If you just access the reminder, not the notification, reminder notification form itself for a second, click on it for a sec or create a new one. You have these options in the journal because that's where you determine what to do with it. You have send SMS, send email, insert a service record. Send SMS obviously will require SMS integration, but inserting a service record and sending emails can both be checked. Mail details would give you the possibility to select the recipients that will be getting it and the format that is going to be sent. You have also variables that can be added to it. Then text message, it's not so important in this case because you need SMS integration, but again, it is doable. And this is what you're going to decide if you choose the checkbox to insert the service record, to what group to be assigned. Maybe you have like the IT team wants to check if the asset has to be replaced or to issue like workflows in terms of things that will need to be changed for this specific use case with warranty expiration date. So there could be a lot of other fields that you might find, date type fields that you might find important to monitor, apart from like the warranty expiration date. You can have, maybe you gave an asset to an individual just for a set period of time, like 6 months. I don't know, he has a enclosed contract. And after 6 months, you want to be reminded that he should be returning that device. 2 things that can be done to that regards, create CIs, which are assets, right? Link them to the CI user of the individual, and then you will have a graph within the asset form, as Cindy is going to just access, for example, go to asset lists, And let's just access your notes because I can, or this one, I don't know if it has any relationship set. Go to the
You want me
CMDB
to just
tab or,
search for you?
yeah, I have my demo asset here as well. Yep. And if you go to the, I think the bot actually, the agent, AI agent actually picked it up. Go to CMDB, go to CMDB tab for a second. Here you can see all sorts of interactions that you can do, and you have also the option to display them in different methods. In the moment in which from the related items tab, you are setting these relations, you can select the type of relations that you have. If you change it to the CIs affected by uh, from
Um,
that display all drop down, just select the
yes,
second
affected
option.
by.
It's based on what you set in the moment in which you set the related items. It's the second to last tab of this form. CIs are configuration items. You can import even automatically both users as CIs as well as assets as CIs so that you won't have to create them manually. But for other things like mobile devices that you give to your users, or if you want to set an error key for your servers being owned by a specific individual, that can also be done. So there's a lot of things which can be done, but obviously we need to be time cautious. Other information, exactly. Other information which the agent can pick up is it's hardware information as well as software information. You see in these tabs all sorts of things that the agent was able to pick up, including the applications that I have installed on my device. Here you have patch management. We also have patch management capabilities with our partner GFI. Uh, it requires obviously configuration for it, but it's accurate and fully functional. You have certain views that are going to show you missing patches from the device, installed patches, approved patches, because we also have change management process embedded within the product, and so on and so forth. That can be fully automized. Some of the patches can be auto-approved, some others can not. Monitoring is requires a definition for monitoring, and it's only active for it's only going to work for the agent assets, obviously not other type of aspects. You can create custom rules in order to monitor URLs, certain ports, certain services. You might have like SQL servers, for example, with several instances, and you want to monitor specific services for those. What other things? Remote control options, if we go back into at least to show it in the form.
Yeah, you're not. I'm glad that you're
You
on with me. I'm not sure where to go from here.
go to services and then to the asset list again, because this is the UI. This is the UI that we're planning currently on revamping. Obviously, those sections. There are still sections which are being kept from classic UI, and as a result, in the moment in which you go for several chains, it might create this type of thing. Go to the RC tab for me for a second. You will see in the dropdown a few methods for remote control. There are two embedded options. One of them is the RCG, Remote Control Gateway, which is doing like a bridge connection. You are only required to have the agent deployed to the endpoint to which you're trying to connect. And then you can do from the HTML5 browser, obviously Chrome, whatever. Most of the browsers currently support HTML5. You can connect to the person's device as long as he has or she has the agent deployed to. Direct connection, it's a peer-to-peer connection. Both the administrator as well as the end user, so to say, will need to have the agent deployed. It's a bridge connection between the two agents themselves. Alternative methods, we do support VNC. If you click on it for a second for me, click on alternative remote control from the method dropdown, Cindy, please. Okay. Okay, so here you can do RDP. Click please again on the remote desktop connection drop down. Okay, so you see here remote desktop connection and Ultra VNC. This was originally designed. Remote desktop connection is currently in progress. It's something that we are working on. We'll see where it's on the roadmap. But Ultra VNC refers to the VNC server itself. Obviously, people that are using it, there's not a lot of our customers utilizing it, also because of the security reasons. But we are giving options to our customers to utilize it as well. You need to have the Ultra VNC server correctly configured from your end in order for it to obviously work.
Thanks,
What else
Ionut.
would you like? No problem.
That's it. Thank you, Ionut. So I'm just going to go back into well, before I go back into the slide deck, because we've only got a few minutes left, I'd like to launch our next poll, please, Ella. If you'd like an account manager to contact you to discuss your asset management, or even Landsweeper, for example, if it's a yes or a no, and maybe if you can, please post the link for meetings. That would be great. I see lots of customers who do want to be contacted by an account manager, which is great. Thank you. Okay, so I'm just going to give you another few seconds to complete that. Okay, so I did launch this the last time, but I would like to mention this again. So we have something called Cindy's Lounge. This is a dedicated Slack channel that's monitored by myself and the rest of the team, where we keep the conversation going after the Cindy show. It's a casual space for follow-up Q&A with me, some product experts as well, focused on topics that we do cover in the show. So if anyone would like to join, please just, you can either type in the chat that you want to join the lounge. The lounge has gone for about 2 weeks so far, and it's pretty quiet. So anyone can post their questions and so forth. So it's live on a Thursday only for now at 9 a.m. EST or 3 p.m. Central Time. You can also scan the QR code if you want to join. There is a link that we can share in the follow-up email, or you can launch the next poll, which is our last poll for today. Ella, if you would like to join the lounge, please type in your email address into the poll that's just been launched, and I'll be very happy to send you an invitation for the lounge. Otherwise, we will send you a link to join. But it is pretty useful, and it's available to you, and it's not really a space. It's not a support channel, but it's there to share insights and to connect. And if you are in the lounge already, please don't be shy. Everyone seemed very shy last week, so let's not be shy. And lastly, I do just want to bring up the fact that we do have a SysAid referral program. This is something for you guys over here. If I just click on it, we'll also share the link as well. If you do refer a friend just to get onto a call, you get $25. If every referral who attends a demo gets 50, you'll get $50. And for every referral that becomes a customer, you get $750. So that's $825 in total. And Ella, I think we can share this link as well in our follow-up email with the recording. And yeah, I guess that pretty much wraps up the Cindy show today. Really, first and foremost, Ionut, thank you so much for such an in-depth view of asset management. If you've got questions, we're here for you. Thank you to my chat moderators. And as always, thank you to you guys for joining. I appreciate that you take the time out of your days. Thank you once again. And I'm going to stay online just for another minute or two. If you do feel like there's something that you would like to cover, you're welcome to type it into the chat while we're ending. And thanks again, everyone. We'll see you in about 2 weeks' time. You're welcome to register. You should all have the invite, and it's on the self-service. Oh, the link for the next Cindy show. Hang on a second. I've got that. We've got it on the self-service portal. So there's the link. Feel free to join. And I'll stop sharing now, but I'll keep it open for just another minute or two. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Bye.